Hello, Kelly Bear here. Welcome to my channel, and I'm coming to you today for something a little bit different. We've got a top-down view, which for anyone who watches my channel regularly will know this is not something I do very often because I'm very bad at it, unfortunately, but I'm trying to get better slowly but surely. So this is a video I am calling Rider or Die, and that is because I'm going to be showing you a few of the, well, I'm showing you not a few of the Rider-Waite decks that I have in my collection, but the most sort of Smithweight decks that I have in my collection, because I have a large number of decks that are based on the Smithweight or are, you know, very much inspired by the Smithweight or sort of Smithweight clones in a sense, but are not, you know, Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork. And granted, a couple of these are not actually Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, but are a very close approximation of, and when I get to those decks you will see what I'm talking about. And this has been inspired by a couple of things. So most of you these days, if you watch my channel regularly, will know I'm more of a Marseille and Pip reader. I have been for over five and a half years now, but towards the sort of maybe late summer last year, early autumn, yeah, probably late summer, I really started grabbing Smithweight and narrative decks more for daily readings, just because, especially if I was doing a single card draw, which again, not something I would usually do. I'd usually pick a Marseille or a Pip deck and do 3 cards for most readings, unless it was for a larger topic, in which case I would usually do 9 cards. But I was finding that I actually quite liked having a narrative deck like a Smithweight or a Smithweight based deck for a single card draw. And so yeah, I was like, oh, this is unusual, and I've sort of been just going with it, and it's continued into this year. It is starting to wane. I can feel the Marseille pull, like because I do still read with Marseille and Pip decks, but I mean sort of for like daily and weekly stuff, I'm just feeling the draw back to Marseille sort of slowly seeping in again, and that's probably because I've been reading about and looking into playing card cartomancy and sort of Marseille reading again, as I tend to do it around spring every year. I've noticed it pops up for me again. I don't know, maybe that's the season, is the Marseille. Do you know what it is? I reckon it's that how much of the Pip started with Kelly Fitzgerald at The Truth and Story. That is probably what it is. It's put it in my head as a spring thing, so it's Kelly Fitz's fault. But also it's inspired by another Smithweight deck that I brought into my collection last month. I bought it with some of my Christmas birthday money. I bought the Zeke's Arcana, which I did a walkthrough of again a few weeks ago. You would have possibly seen that, or not, you know, whatever, that's fine. Yeah, that was one of the decks I bought, and then I also bought another deck that I'm going to show you, and I was like, oh yeah, Smithweights, let's have a look at what Smithweight decks I have in my collection now. So that's enough bloody waffle out of the way, and it blooming hell going on and on and on. Let me have a sip of my tea, because you know me. Oh, that rhymes. Oh yeah, wet me whistle. Okay, so the first deck I'm going to show you is my Smithweight Centennial. Most of you would have seen this if you're familiar with the Smithweight. Now, my first Smithweight based deck was actually it was the Beginner's Tarot set or Beginner's Tarot kit, and that was with the Caselli illustrated, is it Ricardo Caselli? I can't remember. Doing the illustrations, and then is it Juliet Sharman Burke who wrote the book? I actually bought that set and gifted it away to other people that wanted to learn the tarot a good like 3 or 4 times in the last, I haven't done it recently, but like from between like 1999, 2000 or whenever it came out through to like 2016 maybe, I'd bought it and given it away about 3 or 4 times. So that was the first sort of Smithweight deck that I actually owned. This is the first actual Pixie artwork deck that I owned, and it as a Pixie artwork Smithweight, you know, I tend to try to call it the Smithweight just because it was called the Rider-Waite for so long and Pixie was erased. for so long that I feel like we are redressing an imbalance. And why do we need the rider in there? We don't need the rider. Most of these are published by US Games these days, right? Well, actually, I'm saying that I've seen all sorts of people publishing the Smith Waites and iterations of, but you know, the OG, I guess. I think US Games has the rights. So yeah, this is a US Games deck. I like the cardstock. I've seen people saying that they don't like US Games cardstock, and I think that's their current cardstock. This deck is, well, this was released in 2009, and I think it's a 2009 printing. So, oh my God, it's 15 years old. What? What even is time? I got this maybe in 2016. I don't know. But the reason I liked it is the muted colours. I really like this muted blue-grey back. I don't like the borderless version. And I know that that came out when everyone was like super massively into borderless decks. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a borderless deck too. But I cannot get past the fact that they did a borderless deck and then they created the back with a border around it. It irritates the hell out of me, and my little design obsessed brain cannot get past that. So I've never bought the borderless version, and actually this copy has served me well. I very much would like to have a tinned version of this, because I do love the US Games tarots in a tin. Their Morgan Greer in a tin is one of my favourite tinned decks, and one of my favourite decks full stop, actually, when I think about it. So yeah, this is it's an oldie but a goodie at this point. But yeah, I really like the colour. Oh, I don't like the sun. I don't like the sun card. I'm sorry to be a cliche, but I don't like the Rider Sun card. But yeah, I do like Pamela's artwork. And this was the deck that got me sort of knuckling down. I keep doing that. Knuckling down with the Smith Waite system, and really learning it, because my first deck was the Osho Zen. I bought that when I was a teenager in the 90s, and I didn't know about all the different systems, and so I just bought the deck from the limited selection that were available, and from the cards that I could see in the little folder that they had full of sleeves of cards. That looked the prettiest and the one that appealed to me, and that's the one I bought. I have now come to realize how it is actually based on the Smithweight, and it's quite a clever adaptation of it, but I don't really read with that one as much anymore. Now the next one is a kind of like my little legacy, I guess. It sounds a bit egotistical to say, but this is the Dirty Pam. And for those of you who are like, where the fuck did Dirty Pam come from? It came from yours truly. I was in a live chat, one of Kelly Fitzgerald's Saturday live chats that she used to do regularly years ago, and I had bought this deck, and there was an independent version that had come out as well, like on Make Playing Cards, that had been aged, and I think it's called the Vintage Pam. I can't quite remember. Anyway, I had originally been calling this like I can't remember, I think I was calling it my sort of mussed up like Pam, or my, like, I can't remember what I was calling it, something else before I coined the phrase. But people in the live chat were talking about the Vintage Pam. I think it was the Vintage Pam. Someone will be able to correct me. And I thought they were talking about this one. And because I had edged mine in black, and I did quite a rough job of it, and there's little bits of black on the edges, and you'll see little smears of black pen, and I actually don't mind, because this deck has a bit of a grungy feel. The colours are more, I don't know, the colours are really tasty. Can you see there's like black there? And so I went, that deck, is it, who published this? Was it Lo Scarabeo? I can't remember. I love that deck. I've been using it loads, because I had been. I said I trimmed and edged mine. And what I like about it is that it kind of looks dirty, in the sense that the colours can be kind of muted and muddy. And I said, and since I edged mine really messily, it's even dirtier. And someone said, oh wow, yeah, it does kind of look dirty. And I went, ha ha ha. Dirty Pam. as in, I don't know, because innuendo, me, I don't know, anyone who knows me is, I'm a bit of a filth bag. And I don't know, and I went, yeah, actually, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the Dirty Pam. And somehow, somewhere, it took off. I think some people thought it was referencing the Vintage Pam, but it was referencing this. And then I think this somehow it took off. It was just one of those weird moments in time. And I was like, wow, I've literally seen people say, where did it come from? It came from me. And I think it was Veronica Jude who was talking about her Vintage Pam, maybe, that prompted me to start talking about this one in that particular chat, and talking about how it's dirty. Like, it just looks dirty. So yeah, the Dirty Pam. I can't remember, didn't they really re-release it as the Radiant Wise Spirit at some point? And then, but you can't get it in. I'm kind of gutted that I trimmed the borders off it now, because you can't get it with a border unless it's in the small mini size, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you can get it again with the borders, let me know. But I think US Games might have told them off. I can't remember what went down with all that. Anyway, so the next deck I'm going to show you is a sort of redrawing of Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, but very, very close, but with some stylizations. And it is the Tarot Collectibles Smithweight Weight. I backed the Kickstarter of this, I think, or pre-ordered it or whatever it was. Now, I don't let anyone else let me know if they do the same. I don't put the two alternative cards that you get with this, which I think is the Ace of Cups and the Tower card, because they are slightly smaller. They're just a hair smaller than the rest of the deck, because I think they got added in later. It's printed separately and added in later. And so it bugs me. I can't have, like, the cards being different sizes. I can spot them in the deck when it's together because they stand out, right? They create tiny little gaps that you can see where they are. But yeah, this deck, as the name suggests, is a trippy sort of, oh, here we got references to the Vietnam War here. It's a trippy sort of 60s vibe, you know, swinging 60s, late 60s era type hippy dippy deck. The colours are fun. I do like the groovy weight, but I actually would prefer the groovy weight if it had a border, because it is very, like, colourful and saturated and busy. It's even more busy, I think, than this one, even more trippy. Because I think when I first got this, I was like, oh, it didn't go far enough on the, like, trippiness. And they did the groovy weight, which I think did, from what I remember. I've not looked at it for a while, but I didn't like that it was borderless. And I would prefer a bordered version. On saying that, the deck that I most covet, that I don't have of Tarot Collectibles, is actually the Black Light Tarot. It was it's just the black background with that neon. Oh, yes, I want it so bad. But there we go. I don't have infinite moolah, so we just have to pick and choose more carefully what we purchase. By we, I'm using the royal we. I don't know why, because ew. So yeah, this is a fun, colourful, it's, you know, you can tell they've mostly redrawn. Some of them is, you know, the slight deviations. But yeah, pretty much Pammy's. Pammy, as if she was a friend of mine. Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, but make it 60s. And I keep doing that. I'm driving myself bananas. There we go. Right, so that's my tripping weight. The next one I'm going to show you is my latest acquisition, the aforementioned acquisition. Now, the reason I bought this, and it is the Golden Universal Tarot. I'm not a fan of the I do have a mini Universal Tarot, but I've used it as the I use it in my tarot binder, and it's the, you know, I stuck it in on each page for each card, so that was my image for that particular card in the deck. Oh my god, Kelly, use your words. I was going to grab it, but it's downstairs and I can't be bothered to go grab it. Sorry. I was going to show you an example. But anyway, you get the gist. The reason I bought this was I watched Living for the Dead, and it's a queer paranormal investigation show, which I enjoyed very much. I listened to Ros Hernandez's podcast, Ghosted, and she is one of the members of the sort of investigation team. She's the researcher. And so that's how I found out about Living for the Dead. Now, there's a guy on it called Ken Boggle. He is a psychic tarot reader, a psychic and a tarot reader, I should say. And the deck that he uses is the Golden Universal Tarot. And his copy, oh my goodness, you know when you see a deck and you just know that that deck has been taken everywhere with someone, it's been imprinted with their energy, it's been loved, it's been worked with over and over again. His copy was so worn around the edges. And you know when like decks get so worn and the edges get so worn that the cards, the card set almost puffs up, and the card becomes so soft and flexible. Oh my god. And I was obsessed. I was like, he made it look so beautiful, and he's doing these readings in low lit ambient, environments, ambient lighting, which is where gilded decks really shine. And so I was like, oh, I needs it. So when I bought Zeke's Arcana, I still had £20 left, and I was like, oh, I could get a copy of this. It was just under £20 exactly. And I was like, well, that's my decision. I have edged mine in black because, yes, hello, sexy. And maybe one day mine will be as worn and loved as Ken Boggle's copy. And I've been using this as my my deck for the last couple of weeks for my week ahead readings and any daily readings that I do. I've actually been using Lenormand every day as well the last couple of weeks, usually over choosing tarot, which has been fun because I've been playing with the Brown Witch Linny and the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. Wait, can you see that? So like, it's clearly a redrawing. It's not Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, but it's essentially a Smith Waite, you know, and it's sparkly and gold. So like, oh yes, pretty. I think the gold is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. I don't actually like just the regular version. I do like the professional universal Lenormand tarot. What's it called? Professional Universal Tarot. Is that what it's called? Because it's bigger, and I think it also has black borders, if I recall, and the colors are a bit different. It's got some really fun, interesting colors. I mean, he's kind of freaky looking face. A freaky looking devil. But yeah. I'm hoping that so I'm just here standing here, just sipping my tea as I chat. How uncouth. I'm hoping that you folks can see clearly enough, that this is zoomed in enough, because I can see quite clearly on my phone screen. I'm filming this on my phone, but I'm hoping if you're looking at it also on a laptop, or heaven forfend, some people who watch it on their TV, their smart TVs, which sort of horrifies me, thinking that when I'm doing face forward videos, people have me huge on their screens. Warts and all, there we go. But yeah, I really, and I do like, some people say they don't like that there's like bits of gilding missing because it looks like it's chipped away. I like that because it looks like it's been gilded and it's worn away, you know. That, as far as I understand, is all deliberate. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, I very may well be, I often am about many things. But yeah, I mean, she's having a moment, isn't she? Blimmin' heck. Oh my goodness. Very dramatic. So yeah, this is my current Smith, my latest rider purchase. Now the other two that I'm going to show you are a little sort of again, they sort of veer away a little bit from Pixie's artwork, but again, redrawings. So the next one I'm going to show you is the Moon Baby Tarot by Brent Palazzo. This is a recreation essentially of the hoi polloi. I've got it the wrong way round. I've got it the wrong way round. What's going on? I don't know what is going on. What is life? Oh, for flimping heck. They're all over the shop. What's happened? Hang on. I thought I was prepared. Okay, that'll do, donkey. That seems okay. I've just taken the others out of it for now. So yeah, this is going great, isn't it? I'm on strong painkillers because my uterus is having a tantrum again. So I'm a bit sort of space case today, can you tell? More than usual. So yeah, this is a redrawing of the hoi polloi, which is very coveted and very expensive deck, considering it was quite a cheaply and badly produced deck. Don't get me wrong, I would love me a nice copy of the hoi polloi. If anyone, you know, ever gifted me one, I'd probably piss my pants with excitement. But they've gotten ridiculously expensive, and some of them are sort of a partial, you know, they're partial decks, or they're a bit fucked, and I'm just like, well, I probably wouldn't want to like use it because it would be just too precious. It's too precious. But yeah, so what Brent did was he redrew it, recolored it slightly, and I actually really like it. I really like it. I like the soft pink edging on the sides. I love the backs. I love the color choices. I love the size. It's bigger than the hoi polloi. It's a more standard sort of classic size tarot. And yeah, it's a Smith Waite. It reads beautifully. There has since been an edition with a green edging, pale green edging. This is very, very powdery pink, soft pink. But yeah, it's a Smith Waite. It does what it says on the tin, and I love it. So yeah, and the final Smith Waite that I'm going to show you, and I want to point out, I'm showing the decks that are either Pixie's artwork or sort of very close redrawings of Pixie's artwork. Like I said at the beginning, I have so many decks that have you know, that are very heavily inspired, but they might be modernized, or they're very heavily inspired but redrawn in a certain style. So a modernized version that I can think off the top of my head would be the This Might Hurt tarot, or the Modern Witches tarot. And then a redrawn but in a very specific style would maybe be something like the Fyodor Pavlov, for example. There are many examples, and yes, but I'm just showing, yes, I'm just showing the sort of Smith Waite ones. Now this is my Albano Waite, which was very kindly gifted to me by my friend Simon at the Hermit's Cave. And I, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I can't remember what even is time, I decided to take a hole punch, a 2 inch rather, hole punch, and turn it into a mini circular deck. Because, you know, I was looking for a tarot project, a craft project, and I actually did a live chat with people helping me to pick which part of the card to punch out. So here we have the Page of Wands, the 7 of Wands, and I find it's very easy generally to tell which cards these are. This is the 3 of Swords, the Sun. Okay, that's the 5 of Swords. People crying in the background. I tried to pick the elements that sort of made the most sense. We've just got the rainbow with most of the cups. I couldn't get all the cups in, but you know, that's very clearly the 10 of Cups to me. Yeah, so King of Wands, and so on and so forth. And it's just a fun little way to play with directionality. Incidentally, there is now a round rider that you can get, and I've toyed with the idea of having like a whole, you know, a whole card around, which is quite nice. So maybe one day I'd pick that up. I think that could be quite interesting. I'm also quite interested in, you know, the ones that are like the vice versa tarot, the tarot before, the tarot after, which sort of give different sort of takes on, you know, on the decks. as in what you would see, what's going on, what the person, what we are looking at from our view. What would the king be looking at if they were looking in our direction? That's the vice versa tarot from what I understand. And then, you know, the tarot before is what was happening just before the scene in the card, and the tarot after, as you might have guessed, is what would happen after you see the scene. So yeah, those are decks I think could be interesting for just sort of play and study. There's our temperance. So yeah, this is a fun little project. I mean, I would love a 1960s copy of the Albano Weight. I mean, you know, the 80s and 90s ones are fine, but the coloration of the 60s version is just chef's kiss, and is really what I was sort of looking for those bright, fun, weird colours, which I'm quite a fan of. But yeah, this became a round deck, and I made a little round pouch for it to sit in. So yeah, those are my Smithweight decks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some comparisons so we can see how they all look together. So you wait there and don't go anywhere, and I'll be back in a second, and we'll have a look at some of them together. Okay, so here are the decks all together, just to show you how they compare and contrast, and how they can sort of give a different feel depending on which one you're using, even though they are all Smithweights, or very close to sort of Pixie's artwork. So here we have the Centennial Smithweight. This is the Dirty Pam, the Trip-In Weight, the Golden Universal, the Moon Baby, and then my circular Albano Weight. This is in a contemporary printing. So yeah, so as I was saying, you can see why I thought this was more like a mardy, dirty version of Pamela's artwork, because it's more moody. It's a bit scuffed. The skies look kind of grubby and grimy and a bit grungy. Hence, yeah, Dirty Pam. Trip-In Weight. Ooh. Love the purples in this one. Still got the little black cat. No black cat in the Moon Baby. But yeah, Queen of Wands is a card I often aspire to be, to embody. I don't do a very good job of it. So yeah, I just basically pulled out the same cards. There's only a few here, so I did like a court, a couple of pips, an ace, and then just a handful of majors. So yeah, here we have the 10 of Cups. I really like the stylized rainbow that becomes an arch in the Moon Baby. And we've got these like trippy swirls here in the little house here, rather than the sort of house. Well, we do have that house in the distance, but it's not their house. This is their house. We've got this sort of switched around the arrangement with the children on the other side in the Golden Universal. Let's just pop these out of the way to reveal the Two of Swords. I'm realizing that the characters in the Golden Universal are kind of like dramatic bitches. I mean, this Two of Swords she's leaning to the side, she's going, oh my goodness, oh, these swords are so heavy. She's sort of, it's very, yeah. Whereas this one is much more sort of trippy. Again, Trip-In Weight. I do like the light sort of shining out behind and then reflected in the water in the background. Awesome print on their outfit. Got sunglasses on instead of a blindfold, which sort of insinuates that they can actually see, although it is sort of late evening, maybe even nighttime, because there's no moon in this one, but there's moons in the other ones. That they can see, but not well, because they're wearing glasses. They're the person wearing sunglasses at night. So yeah, that's those ones. Oh, I forgot to turn that one. Sorry. There we go. That's that one. The Two of Swords on there. Now we are at the Ace of Pentacles. This one really stands out. We've got a melting pentacle in the Trip-In Weight. Again, I do love the grunginess of the Dirty Pam. in the slightly more sort of moody clouds, rain-filled looking clouds. A bit more stripped back for the moon baby, and then, you know, a bit of glitz and glam for the golden universal. On to the Hermit. Hermie. I love the Hermit in the Dirty Pam. It's so moody and atmospheric. Look at that. I love that there's like a star. It looks, although they're floating, it looks like there is a star at the top of his staff, like it's a giant wand. And yeah, you can see there's much more sort of neon yellow, and yeah, just plain light background on the moon baby, and slightly more delicate details on the golden universal. Shiny. Okay, only a couple more. We've got the moon. Everybody look at the moon. Ooh. I do love the colours in this with the purplies, the pinks, the greens, because purple and green are like my two favourite colours. So not as fond as the one on the Tripping Weight. I don't know. It doesn't feel as tripping as it could be, I guess. It's quite muted, I don't know, compared to a lot of the other cards. I love how the dog is like staring down the crayfish coming out of the water, looking, quite honestly, I would be looking a bit freaked out too. And the other dog is not paying any attention because it's looking at the moon. Yeah. The Star, my tarot birth card. Again, I do love the coloration of the Dirty Pam. This one's very nice to see, like the orange stars rather than the yellow. Stars are white in the albino weight, or at least in this printing, and white in the golden universal. And then we've got these sort of rainbow stars in the Tripping Weight. And I love that there's this liquid being poured, and you've got this swirl reflected in the pool down here. So she's either actually a blue person, or she's very cold because she's out in the nude in the middle of winter. I don't know. Blue human. Bloomin'. And then we've got a couple more. We have the Devil, because I had to have the Devil in there. The Devil is my card of the year. So that's fun. Or actually can be fun, because, you know, the Devil isn't all bad news. This one is has a much more sort of what's the word, sort of narrowed in sort of depiction with the nods to the references to the Vietnam War, and like sort of the bombs coming down the side here. The other ones are just sort of more like generic devilese. I do like the look on this devil's face. And I chose to punch out this part of the devil right at the crotch. Why not? Okay, and then the final card I'm showing you is Death. Death, because it's coming to the end of this video. And yeah, again, interesting colour choices. So if we look at the albino weight compared to sort of a more classically coloured Smith weight, well, I guess this isn't classically coloured, it's the... Although wasn't this released as a sort of meant to be like as close to the original printing as possible, but I don't know if it came out that wasn't really the case. I can't remember things anymore. But yeah, so we got a red background on the albino weight. Again, just more sort of muted and moody, more mardy. Very similar depiction again here. And some lovely pinks and greens and oranges in the moon baby. And yeah, I do have some, like, there are other, even though I do have a fair few sort of actual Pammy-esque Smithweight decks, there are a couple that I do have on my wish list. So as I mentioned, I would love the Smithweight Centennial and a tin, because it's just handy to have, honestly. And as I said, the Albano Waite, like a 60s version or original hoi polloi. But ones that are a bit more sort of available would be the Tarot Collectibles Blacklight. I do really love that. And the Relative Tarot, which is a mass market deck. I just like the way that sort of vintage photography has been blended in with the original artwork. I just really like the look of that. That's been something I've been eyeing up ever since it came out, honestly. So yeah, that was just a little, I'd like to say quick, but not really. You know me, if you watch my videos, usually I'm not very good at being to the point or quick with my videos, but I hope you enjoyed it. What is your favorite of the ones that I showed? Which one is your favorite? And do you have a selection of Smithweight decks, and what's your favorite that you own or that you have your eye on? I mean, the person I think of the most when I think of Smithweight is my friend Simon at the Hermit's Cave, who has like an absolute shit ton of copies of the I wouldn't even know how many he's got at this point of different versions of the Rider-Waite Smith deck, but I'm pretty sure it's a fair few. I'm not quite there yet on that, on reaching those numbers, but yeah, I have room in my heart for some more, and now I've just created a whole mutant deck of the same cards. Oh, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Reading with all and assigning different meanings to each deck depending on which one you get, and then the card. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm gonna go. I hope that wherever you are safe and well. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and or listen to me waffle on about the things that I find interesting. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.